Forging a successful career path begins from your foundation, a foundation of quality and professional education. It is a weapon of transformation and a passport to the future. HIPMAT's credibility and years of training thousands of professionals in HND, BTech, BSc, and MBA in the schools of Business and Management Sciences, Engineering and Education, with remarkable mentorship from the University of Bamenda for the BTech and MBA and the University of Broya for the BSc program is second to none. From committed professors and lecturers in classrooms to numerous academic field trips, internships and workshops, HIPMAT will reform and guide you towards your success. Admissions are now open in our Boya and Douala campuses. Join us. Together, we will build a legacy.
HIPMAT is what it is today because of its excellent and competent teachers.
You choosing HIPMAT will be the perfect place to gain that professionalism that you need to further your educational career.
The Higher Institute of Business Management and Technology, the University Institute for Professionals.
Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. In the program this evening, we are going to be looking at the mourning that continues for our fallen children in Kumba, looking at the urgency for a path to definite peace in the troubled southwest and northwest regions. We equally are going to be asking the question whether women in the southwest and northwest regions, and why not Cameroon, whether they can change the tide for a definite solution to the ongoing crisis. We briefly are going to be talking about the day of national mourning slated for tomorrow across the nation in honor of our fallen children. We are going to be developing these two topics with our panelists who are already seated in the house. Mr. Njo Valentin is the representative of the CPDM party. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Merci. Bonsoir. Bonsoir au panel. Bonsoir à vous-même et aux multiples téléspectateurs qui nous regardent par devers le monde.
Okay, we are also in the company of Chuo Walters, who is a lecturer at the University of SWA, Yaoundé too. He equally is a member of the PAP, Popular Action Party, and also a technical advisor to Ayapol Abine. We are glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Good evening to televiewers. I wanted to precise the Deputy National Secretary for Communication at the Popular Action Party and technical advisor to Ayapol Abine, and an instructor, yes, lecturer, of course, at the University of Yaoundé too, so Faculty of Economic Management and Sciences. Okay, we also are with Ima Mkong. She is a journalist based out there in Germany. Good evening, Ima. We are glad to have you for the first time on Prime Hour.
Good evening, Leonard, and good evening to the other panelists. Good evening also to all the televiewers of My Media Prime Television. It is a delight for me to be joining you this evening.
How are you doing today?
I'm well, Leonard. We are just pained by what is going on in Cameroon. You know, being out here, and every time you get to tell someone that you're from Cameroon, you can imagine the questions that they start asking you. So it is sad that instead of singing that pride song that we used to sing in the yesteryears about Cameroon, about where we come from, this time we spend time explaining to people out here what is going on, because people are curious. People want to know what suddenly became of the once very peaceful country. So it's not a very good feeling, and we are hoping that as we engage in these discussions, solutions are going to be provided so that our once very peaceful Cameroon is going to be restored back to us.
I'll start the discussions with you, Ima. Your reaction to the call by President Paul Biya for these children to be honored tomorrow in a national Mourning Day, and how best you think these children can be honored as the nation mourns nationwide?
Okay, I always choose to be very positive, even when I have critiques. I think that first, it is a good thing that the president thought it wise that the nation observes a day to mourn our kids that were murdered in Kumba. It was quite a very pitiful situation. I think first, just recognizing that these kids deserve a day to be mourned is something that we should applaud. But I would think that the choice of day was not the best, because we understand that Saturday is a day in Cameroon where most people regard it to be a resting day. So I would have thought that to give these kids the kind of mourning that they deserve, we shouldn't have picked a Saturday where people are normally supposed to stay at home and rest. Maybe a working day, a work day in Cameroon, a Tuesday, a Monday, a Thursday, any weekday where people would actually just stay away from their normal activities, their normal day-to-day activities, probably the activities that give them money. When you have to sacrifice the things that give you money and you stay at home, then you actually feel the weight and the impact of what you're mourning for. So yes, I would say it's a good thing that the president called on us to mourn. But I think that Saturday was not the best choice.
Okay, you think that Saturday was not the best? Your take on this call for Cameroonians to respect tomorrow in honor of our fallen kids, Walters?
It's an escape good that the president is looking for.
Okay.
I want to be very clear. We have witnessed so many sad incidents, and the National Day of Mourning has never been declared. Doesn't mean that because of the killings in Kuma, the president wants to look for an scapegoat to tell the whole world that people have died in North and the Southwest. Before coming to this studio, I received sad news from Babalang. 3 guys who were shot by the military. 2 weeks ago, I'm citing here Barrister Eko Mengongi, who is standing as the defense lawyer for the University of Boya in relation to the land tenure between the University of Boya and the Bulu people in the Fako. He said 2 weeks ago, a mother was removed with his children and shot by the military. Some few months ago, 48 people were shot under Bali Bridge in the northwest region in Bamenda and dumped under that Bali Bridge. We have seen a 6-month-old child pour into hot oil in a condom in 2018. We've seen the massacre in Pining. We've seen the massacre in the Alabukan, in Big Babanki in Bamenda, the mass grave in Boya, Comfort Thomas in Moyuka, and another child that was also shot by the military in Moyuka. We have seen rape, burning of houses in Mankon in Bamenda by the military. The president has not taken any action. And the only thing we can say is that the president has declared the National Mourning Day on a Saturday, which is not a working day. That is nonsense and rubbish. Is it what we have come here to discuss on? Are we drawing the attention of the international community to say that there's a mourning day in Cameroon? Human rights organizations need to intervene. So please,
I was just asking,
we should better be serious.
I was just asking.
I'm not okay with that decision.
I was just asking your opinion.
I said it is not the time. It's time to get into action and solve the crisis.
Walters.
Because so many people have been killed. That National Mourning Day on a Saturday, which is not a working day, is like an insult to the southern Cameroonians like me. The National Mourning Day. What are we mourning? The military who are killing the civilians, or the Amba boys who are killing the military and the civilians? I prefer to end here.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Njo. Yes. Day of National Mourning tomorrow. How best do you think these children should be mourned so that things like that do not happen again?
Avant que je ne présente, je vais répondre à votre préoccupation.
Oui.
Je vais d'abord nous inviter à nous lever pour la mémoire de ceux des compatriotes, des jeunes élèves qui ont été lâchement assassinés pour seule envie ou seul désir d'aller s'instruire. C'est grave. C'est grave quand les individus. C'est grave quand les individus s'en à leurs propres frères. Et je pense que le discours de chacun d'entre nous sur ce plateau ne devrait pas être un discours politique, mais un discours de recueillement. Parce que le sang des innocents a coulé. Si être les hommes politiques, parce que la politique œuvre pour la société, pense le bien-être de la société. Pour cela, je vais me lever et inviter tout le monde à l'unisson pour que nous nous recueillons un instant pour la mémoire.
La caméra là, hein?
Bon. C'est pas grave.
Ok. Oui.
Merci.
Oui.
Chers compatriotes, vous aviez vu que nous nous sommes levés tous ensemble, le cœur à l'unisson. C'est ça l'exemple à suivre quand il y a mort d'homme, quand il y a une mort lâche ou quand il y a eu une exaction. Parce que ceux qui sont morts, comme nous, méritent la vie. On doit avoir un discours des personnes qui pensent construire une nation. Une nation qui est un ensemble, qui est notre héritage, qu'on devra léguer également aux générations futures, à ces jeunes gens qui ont été lâchement assassinés. La journée du deuil national décrétée par le chef de l'État rentre dans les grands moments d'une nation. C'est pas un fait hasardeux si le président de la République, qui est le père de la nation, prend sur lui d'inviter ses compatriotes à l'unisson pour un instant de recueillement face à la mort. Une mort lâche. Ce jour, un samedi, est un jour comme tous les autres. Le samedi, j'ai cru l'entendre. Je crois que j'ai bien compris. Le samedi au Cameroun n'est pas un jour férié. C'est un jour où les gens vaquent à leurs occupations. Et même si ça avait été le cas, il n'y a pas un jour pour se recueillir. Les églises nous ont imposé les jours le dimanche. Mais ici, il s'agit d'un rituel de la République.
Ok.
Je vais chuter pour dire que mon frère, dont le nom, vous pouvez me rappeler son nom.
Walters.
Mon frère Walters, vous avez cité les bavures qui ont été corrigées.
Non, pas corrigées, exécutées par les militaires.
Je dis, il y a eu des bavures.
Il faut préciser qu'il y a eu des bavures militaires.
Il y a eu des bavures.
Oui, militaires.
Et l'une des bavures, ou du moins toutes, ont connu l'appel du chef suprême des armées qui a même initié une commission pour vérifier. Et les auteurs ont été amenés
Pour changer le débat.
dans les tribunaux.
Est-ce que le deuil national est décrété?
Permettez.
À propos de ces bavures, est-ce que le deuil national est décrété? Ne changez pas le débat.
Pour continuer.
Juste votre réaction
Oui.
sur la journée de demain.
Oui, pour continuer et dire que vous avez cité, mais il y a eu les Mboro qui ont été assassinés par des séparatistes. Il y a beaucoup des compatriotes qui ont été assassinés dont vous n'avez pas cité. Vous pensez qu'il est normal d'avoir une indignation sélective?
Ne nous amenez pas dans ce
Donc
jeu.
ça,
Ce sont les alibis.
c'est une parenthèse. Donc pour dire que la
Just-
journée de demain, je crois que j'ai déjà donné un élément de réponse,
Oui, oui.
est une journée qui a été initiée par le chef de l'État pour qu'on se recueille, qu'on marque un moment de silence pour les jeunes compatriotes qui ont été lâchement assassinés.
Ok,
Et on va l'observer.
on va l'observer. Vice Chancellor John Nako, who is already in the studio with us. Good evening, and your take on the day of tomorrow, how it should be celebrated. But I also want us to already start talking about our topic for today, which has to do with as the nation mourns our fallen children. Do you think there is urgency for a path towards peace to be sought as soon as possible?
In fact, it is for the first time, I will say, I'm presenting myself in front of a TV camera since the awesome incident in Kumba. And again, it is equally very sad that Cameroonians still use fellow citizens as laboratory rats for political propaganda and others to gain trust or to gain confidence of either the international community or within Cameroonians themselves. It is equally sad that the same people that were supposed to make the right decisions within the same period present themselves in front of cameras as if the decisions were lying in other people's hands. It is equally, I'm saying, very, very bad that we meet a nation like Cameroon where people think that others have to sacrifice for them and that the nation Cameroon belongs to them more than to others. Now, we come, the government declaring a national day of mourning. It is, to me, just like a rolling stone that has no message within it. If you ask on this other side of the government, we call the government, some of us have made a series and a lot of these proposals. Can we end this madness? Can we end the foolishness? The government of Cameroon and the government based in Yaoundé is aware of the demands of the people of Cameroon, talk less of the people of the Northwest and the Southwest region. That we started within the Gogomo commissions and many other headed by the former Prime Minister, Philemon Yang, that Anglophone demanded for a federal system of government which is cherished throughout the world. This very word becomes a terrorist word which was forbidden by others. And while negotiations were going on with the consortium, the red lines were drawn that the decision of the consortium was the wrong decision and that members of the consortium should be arrested and sent to prison. It is sad that 4 years after, we find ourselves in a system and the results that were prepared to occur, with many who still believe and things feel now that the military option is the best. In an atmosphere of military options, where you have a lot of factions and groups, who is responsible? Others use the atmosphere to settle scores with their own very family members. And then we come before TV cameras pointing accusing fingers. There is no individual that is hurt in this case than the families concerned. Can we stand by the families? What is the meaning of the National Day of Mourning when the decisions rest with those who can make the right decision? And then they fail to take the decisions to use the same pen they might have used to end crisis, to declare a day of mourning to the same families. How does that save the nation? How does that keep the nation at peace? It is really sad. At this very occasion, I will equally sincerely address a special message to those who are called government officials or whatsoever they think. It is not time for them to justify their egoism, their personal ends, at the willingness or at the stakes or the destructive nature of the nation. We as Cameroonians need that particular arm The humility of being a Cameroonian gives us a sense of us giving you the legitimacy to govern us rather than self-centered, egoistic tendencies. We own the military, we own the arms, we own the taxes that salaries are paid to some of you. A lot of people contribute to your salaries, but others, you choose to pay them back by creating an atmosphere of terror. I said the government of Cameroon remains the ultimate to end this crisis. And there are a lot of things. If the causes of this particular incident, we just cried. I told people I was not going to talk, but it is really sad that 3 days after, we reported another assassination. 2 days after, we are getting right now that a gendarme officer was killed in Manu Division, Manfe. What can we give? Are we going to declare another national day of mourning for this officer who is equally a father of a family or a citizen of this nation? Were they called to serve the nation and kill themselves within the states of Cameroon or being killed by foreign enemies? There is a need. If we need to govern sincerely, I think the machinery and those who govern us are obsolete and that we need a real makeup. We don't need to mourn. We don't need to declare a national day of mourning. We need real action to end the madness. To what extent will the government of Cameroon keep on fooling Cameroonians that the decisions are perfect? We are just far from the beginning. And I still say, if we continue marrowing or playing the devil game, where people justify what they earn at the end of the month as missions to the northwest and the southwest region, be very careful. It is but known that the system is vibrating towards an end. Where is the history? What legacy do we have to present as Cameroonians? What history are we going to link or leave behind? That we sacrifice our own very people to keep a system which we know is unable to hold on its center. But we need, sincerely, my heart bleeds at those families. I just imagine that a child that died or those that died were children of my own household. What would have been my response? To still keep the military? You tell the head of state situation is getting into normal, and I see the same people sent to condole with the family being carried by armored cars. Can we for once speak honestly to ourselves? The National Day of Mourning, I believe the other members might have said about it, but I will still put it straight. How do you mourn people on a day which you know is not really an active day in Cameroon? Where will flags be raised tomorrow as a Cameroonian citizen? Where do we raise flags on Saturday? And where are we going to put these flags en masse? It should not be a duty that people should leave their homes because they were going to hoist a flag. Because that's the only symbol that indicates concern of the nation. The Cameroon state will remain, but us Cameroonians will pass away. What legacy do we leave behind?
Now, how do we build confidence? Where do we start building this confidence? Because these children, other children may fall prey to what happened to their fellow brothers and sisters in Kumba. We saw what happened in Limbe, the false alarm. We saw many children, parents running helter-skelter. How do we start building that confidence, trust for an eventual peace to reign?
Thank God you spoke about confidence. Confidence lies in the different speeches that we met from an incident. I will take the example of the mayor of the Kumba City Council, who came out and said, let's chase the Amber Boys out of the city. Did you know the incident, the impact of that, his speech? In Bamenda, the Amber Boys in Bamenda kidnapped in PSCHS Mancon more than 10 students, and some of them were released, half were released on the ransom. And their response was that it was because of the speech made in Kumba. The guys who are managing Kumba, the Amber Boys in Kumba, said, when you are going out to protest, you should not say that you are chasing us out, but that you are protesting to end the killings. Those are the kind of speeches that we want, that they should never be made, and that brings in the inability to constitute the confidence, because those who are at the forefront are addressing the issues while insulting others indirectly. How do you want the confidence to be built when the Minister of Administration and Territorial Administration goes to Kumba and said we are in the Fako division while we are in the Meme division? means that you don't master your territory.
Are you saying that mistakenly?
Those are some of the.
Are you saying that mistakenly you cannot call somebody differently out of maybe you forgot? Are you saying that the minister does not know that
we are imperfect human beings? It was just an aside to tell you that there is no seriousness in what we speak out. This Anglophone problem is because of what comes out from our mouth that further radicalize the guys who carry out the actions in the Northwest and the Southwest. Remember that confidence lies in trust, and trust lies in the relationship between the actors. We have 4 actors. We have the central power. We have the secessionists. We have the calling them secessionists is further radicalizing them. Those who are fighting to restore the former British Southern Cameroon, otherwise known as Amber Boys. And then we have the entrepreneurs of the war. When you look at these actors, and you will discover that each actor has a role, and the relationship between each actor depends on the speech that is being made. If it is a direct or an indirect speech, it influences what we call the confidence. And for the confidence to be installed, there need to be trust. There is no trust because there is betrayal.
But only that you have cited the speeches made by members.
Different actors. Let's just say actors.
But you've cited. You say you describe some persons as entrepreneurs of war.
That those who benefit economically from the war.
Yes. You've talked about separatists. You've talked about the government, and maybe opportunists.
Those who kidnap and act.
Yes, but the speeches from both sides are not.
They're not harmonized. Let's say they're not harmonized.
Yes,
because of the lack of confidence and the bad faith from the government.
Is there good faith from the other side?
Well, it's not my position to judge who has the bad or good faith. The only thing is that the action from the field shows that the government has a bad faith.
Okay. Ima, I move over to you. How do we protect children, spare them from the ongoing political tensions rocking the Southwest and Northwest region? They are not part of the war. They are not part of the politicking. How do we keep them out of it? How do we assure them that, yes?
Before I answer your question, Leonard, I want to agree a lot with the last speaker, especially when he talked about political communication. What actors say during crises like this has a lot to play on the development of the crisis. When you study conflict development, you would realize that usually how a crisis evolves always directly or indirectly depends on what the actors involved in that crisis are saying during that period of crisis. So I want to agree with the last speaker to say that the conflict has come to where it is today, partially because of some of the things that the authorities have altered. We've had governors calling people dogs because they are expressing their grievances. I've even seen videos about governors trying to put blame on women for protesting and trying to force them to accept that they know who are the perpetrators of the massacre in Kumba. I mean, we've heard so many things during this crisis that have gone a long way to fuel anger in people. So I want to agree a lot that it is high time that political actors and people involved in this crisis started watching what they say, because what they say, and I'll come back at some point to talk about the role of the media during crises like this, because the media also has a great role to play, because some of these speeches, some of these utterances by political figures are always disseminated by the media. We've studied cases of Rwanda, we've studied cases of DRC, we've seen what happened in Sudan, and we've seen how the media was able to either fuel or quell the crisis at different given points. Coming back to your question, Leonard, about how we can protect our kids in the course of the Anglophone crisis. First, what I'll say, the question I kept on asking when I followed what happened in Kumba, the question I kept asking was, how did whosoever committed that act, whosoever was responsible for the shooting, how did they find themselves in the classroom shooting kids? Where were the administrators? Another question I asked was, where was the promised security? Because I know that before schools resumed, I followed so many speeches, so many utterances, so many communiques from different actors promising security for kids once schools resumed. So where was that security? That it got to a point where people had to get into the classroom and shoot kids with just their books and their pens. I saw even lunch packs beside some of the kids with no teacher, no school authority, nobody whatsoever to show that there was some level of protection over these kids. It's appalling. So I think that is the first step, that the powers that we need to start looking into. Well, I've heard narratives like this school was not registered and that is why it was not called. The security situation in the school was not the best as compared to other schools that were recognized and were registered. I don't know what that means, but I think that in a crisis situation like this, we don't want to start looking into which school is registered. So do you now decide to let school children of a given school, do you not decide to expose them to danger because their authorities have not registered the school? It's not their fault that the authorities did not register the school. So to me, that's a very lame excuse. It's a very lame excuse on the part of the administration or of the administrators. So we need to start protecting our kids. If we have agreed that our kids deserve education and they should go to school, then we must ensure that we put in place the necessary measures to ensure that they are protected while at school.
Okay. Thank you, Imam. Ms. Njo, is it possible? Anyway, how do we build confidence among community members, especially in a community like Bomenda, Kumba, where some persons, people are living in very polarized positions. Some people are considered as blacklegs and others are described as sellouts. How do we build confidence amongst them?
Bon, moi je pense que parlant de cette question, la population vit au quotidien. Elle vit au quotidien et elle mène des activités. Elle mène des activités et c'est des zones semi-rurales où les populations vivent du commerce, vivent de l'agriculture, vivent de l'élevage. Mais de toute façon, on ne peut pas dire de façon absolue que ces populations peuvent manquer d'un certain nombre de...
Oui, mais ma question est que comment, c'est pas construit, la confiance.
Oui, la confiance est simple à construire. Nous sommes dans une zone de crise où les gens peuvent manquer d'un certain nombre de choses. Mais maintenant, cette zone, elle est couverte par les forces de défense. Et il est question pour les populations qui voient la présence des forces de défense, qui est un élément essentiel de confiance. Parce que les forces de défense sont là pour sécuriser ces populations, pour qu'elles puissent mener leurs activités. Donc, de toute façon, la confiance doit être créée au regard de la présence des forces de défense. Et cette population doit collaborer avec ces forces de défense. Tout à l'heure, mes précédents panélistes, je vais un peu revenir sur ce qu'ils ont dit. Pour dire, à la suite des tueries de Kumba, le président de la République a envoyé une mission pour une mission interministérielle pour écouter et évaluer la situation et apporter du réconfort aux populations. Nous savons très bien que le ministère de la Santé a mis des cellules d'écoute par rapport au traumatisme que les élèves, les jeunes élèves ont vécu et que les parents eux-mêmes qui ont perdu de leurs enfants et qui certains cette mission est là pour apporter aussi cette part de confiance là que l'État est là, l'État existe, l'État assiste ses compatriotes, ses administrés. Aussi, je vais toujours dans la logique de certaines organisations politiques. Le Cameroun a une grâce d'avoir un homme qui le dirige, à la personne du président de la République, qui a de la matière et de la méthode. Parce que nous savons tous qu'il y a des compatriotes qui ont soutenu les séparatistes. Aujourd'hui, qui voient le retour que ce soutien-là a sur les populations locales. Nous avions vu les partis politiques aller collecter les fonds pour acheter les armes et apporter leur soutien aux séparatistes. Les armes là sont en train de tuer nos propres compatriotes. Ce qui est très grave. Nous, si on essaye d'évoluer, les kidnappings et tout ça, vous pensez que une organisation qui a une idéologie fondée sur le bien-être de ses compatriotes peut faire dans les kidnappings, peut faire dans le chantage? Non, pas du tout. Le président de la République, depuis le début de la crise, a apporté des réponses aux revendications de nos compatriotes du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Il a tendu la main aux terroristes, aux séparatistes. Certains sont là. Ils sont regroupés dans les centres. Tous ceux qui ont accepté de poser les armes. Vous pensez que vous allez dire sur un plateau, vous allez dire aux compatriotes qui nous suivent que l'État du Cameroun ne fait rien, que l'État est insensible? Ça veut dire qu'on est de mauvaise foi. Ça veut dire, j'ai dit à l'entente de mon propos ici, qu'il n'est pas question devant l'horreur de parler comme des hommes politiques, mais il faut parler en être humain.
Okay, pour construire.
Faut construire.
Dr. Ako, John Ako. Now, I want us to look at building confidence in communities, because if we say today that the separatists are failing to come to the assistance of the people or to provide security, and that the state is also not doing so, the communities themselves have to look for means to live in harmony. How do we begin doing that when we know that in a community, this one is considered as a black leg, that other one is considered as a CPDM militant, you are SDF, so you are not? How do we start circumventing this?
Yeah, one thing I'm saying here is that if you need to build confidence in people, you need to give them the reason to have the confidence in you.
Okay.
If we have to construct a nation, the people around you should feel you are with them and that you are not against them. And that the people which you are administering delegated you and gave you the legitimacy to rule over them. I want to say, first of all, on the part of the government, that the government of Cameroon and the world over knows that there were no elections in the Northwest and the Southwest region. And that few people voted. And the votes went for the ruling party. We see the Prime Minister Philemon Yang voted at Upstation Bamenda when he was to be one of the electorates in Oku. And those have never been counted upon. The fragile institutions we have in Cameroon are not even and non-existent in this region. Remember, what confidence do we have with the state when the minister promised to provide security for all Cameroonians, and that just some few schools, which they claim were public school, benefited and others could not benefit? To what extent can we build a confidence in people who feel so devastated that the Northwest and the Southwest region, that a lot of other projects that were destined for these two regions were later on sidelined for other regions? I have seen the police school in Mutengene that was existing as a national school training police officers, later on detached in pieces and sent to Yaoundé. I have seen the port, deep sea port in Limbe, being transferred to Kribi and realized within the shortest time possible. What confidence do we want to build that before talking of Mevele, there was one Menchum fault that has nothing, no identity to present? We have to give, in fact, I will tell you that the causes of war, many, is always not feeling like you are belonging to a people, or that you are not part of that people. On the part of the government, that sincerely summarizes the anger of Southern Cameroonians and the people in the Northwest and the Southwest region. And if we have to do so, can we have a reason? I have been to Yaoundé. Even after the Bilingualism Commission, things still appear. Public notices still appear in French, and none is translated in English. I have seen decisions rendered by the head of state still being appeared in French language. We have seen the head of state himself, since 4 years, unable to present a speech on the other part of the territory in the English language. Do we mean the Bilingualism Commission will speak better for the head of state, whom is considered as the first citizen of the nation, and his capacity to express or address Cameroonians in the 2 official languages? What confidence are we going to build within such people with a lot of worries, which the government is aware? That is what I said. If we considered the problems as Cameroonian problems, are this too much to ask that the head of state take upon that the next 11 February, I will present my speech in English, or the next end of year speech we made in English, then translated in French, so that the other people too should feel that they are Cameroonians? What confidence do you want to build when at the same time the military that was made to defend people against an external conflict are now being used within an internal conflict that was seemingly more political than use of force? On the other side, I will tell you that today people will give every name they want. But between me and you here and others, know that in the Northwest and the Southwest region, not only the people we call Amber Boys operate. That one the government is aware. A lot of thieves have been caught in the 2 regions, not even linked to either groups. Do we know that? That people use other conflict individually they have with personal relationship to manage it and put it as if it was an Amber crisis.
Yes, but what you are describing is the situation in which the population finds itself. They are caught in that web.
That is what we are saying.
Yes. How do they start building confidence? That is to consider
The
that this person, irrespective of the fact that he is SDF, he is first and foremost my brother. If this person is CPDM, is my brother. All of them may be looking for development. But
that is what I'm saying. When you look at it, the SDF will tell you that right in Kumba, they were not comfortable with the outcome of the results. That one is clear. So how do you fix the SDF people? How do you build confidence in them? That's what I'm telling you. That at one point, we sometimes said, I said, and I repeated, that there was supposed to be no elections. If we want Cameroon to be one, there is a need to solve a problem. But what do we have? We see a government that came out and said 2 regions cannot stop the political progress of a nation. And they went ahead. They have the knife and the yam. They have the majority in parliament and senate. This is what we are saying. When you go to politically, what do you have within Cameroonian, the political milieu in Cameroon? The opposition and the ruling party don't agree. Is that what you see in advanced democracies? That when an opposition leader voices out a word, he is taken for an enemy against the nation? Is that the reconciliation we want? Politics remains politics. It is an exchange of ideas. And there is no need. The military is supposed to commingle within political affairs. Everybody has an opinion to what he's saying. And that's one. If you want to build confidence, to what extent are we going to fix the relationship between militants of MRSA party, who now litter the corridors of Kondengi without pardon? Because in one way or other, they have that. In the Southwest and the Northwest, a lot of people are still living in the region. Remember the trauma students faced just last week, even when it was a false alarm.
Yes. My question to you now has to do with schools. We have at the level of education, the stakeholders, the parents, the children, and the school owners. How do we build synergy to overcome the fear that has been installed by what occurred in Kumba on Saturday?
Before I answer your question, I wanted to make certain things clear here. My co-panelist from the CBD said something that disturbed me a lot. It's because of, we are saying that we should stop radicalizing people by giving speeches that will further aggravate the issue. He said that there's a political party that had a meeting to buy arms to kill Ambazonians. The leader of that political party has made a communique today at 9:05. I will read in French. It's non, pas que le vidéo existe.
Et on n'a pas besoin de...
Le leader du parti politique
Non,
a
parlez
fait
en
une
anglais,
sortie.
allez-y.
He met an outing today.
Who's the leader?
C'est qui le leader? Oh,
No, but I'm not sure that he was not.
That's what he's talking about. That
On a des parties, on a des vidéos.
to kill Ambazonians.
Oh, no.
These are the pages. I
No,
don't
I'm
want
sure,
to
I'm
make
sure
it
he is
go.
talking about. He is talking.
No,
about
he
the-
said there is a party
No,
that has
Let me
bought
come.
arms.
I'm sure he's talking
Ils
about.
sont,
Come to your question. What
ils sont nombreux, ces partis.
No, but
No,
I'm sure,
no, no, no.
I'm sure.
Don't bring us to this game.
Non.
This meeting took place between 26th and 28th of July 2019 in Munich.
Okay, that's it.
You understand? In
That's
Munich,
it, yes.
and the theme of this thing was for a political transition in Cameroon.
Je vais vous...
It was
Les
not
vidéos
for buying
existent. Les vidéos existent.
Dr. Ako, why am I saying this?
Les
Because
vidéos existent.
CBDM
Non, les vidéos
these
existent.
recent days
Non.
are saying the same thing on all plateaus.
C'est ça qui existe.
Track a certain party and further radicalize.
Si.
You understand what I'm saying?
Si.
Let me go back to the
C'est
question now.
vrai. On va pas discuter.
Non,
dessus.
j'aime parler. Non, c'est bon. It's okay.
Yes.
Let me answer a question.
Les Camerounais, les Camerounais, c'est juste une parenthèse, hein, les Camerounais sont là, ils doivent voir la réalité de ce qui est fait. Pas ceux qui disent être des hommes
Do you know that
politiques.
some of your party's members that have been sued to court because of that declaration you're making here?
Just make a point, Mr. Waters.
Okay. Why are people afraid? They are afraid because there is killing.
I mean those involved with the education.
With the education now?
Yes.
With the education, we first of all had two parties that were confronting. We have Samuel Ekome, who is fighting to be the interim government of the Federal Republic of so-called Amazonia. We have Sisiko Ayuk Tambe, who is in prison, who also says that he's the president of interim government of Amazonia. They were fighting for somewhere. Samuel Ekome was saying that they don't want school to resume.
With Ayabacho.
Dr. Ayabacho,
Mhm.
he's even online now with a conference for the negotiation and translation. He has some Amazonia have organized a conference for negotiations and coalition.
Okay, that conference is organized by Ambazonia. Eh?
No, by Ambazonians, and Dr. Cho Ayaba is there to listen to them and see whether they can be way out. It's just a nuance that I'm making since you've cited his name. We can use Ayaba Cho to liberate Southern Cameroon. So the two parties.
C'est le représentant d'un parti politique, hein?
Go on. No.
Non, c'est juste...
We are talking about schools, and I'm telling you that there is no way we can secure those schools to operate when there is no security. If we can be able to give each military behind each child or a student or a people in the school, that can be possible. Why were the two parties they were confronted? Because one party was saying that school should not resume. Another one was saying that we should wait for security to be restored before school should resume. Furthermore, the separatists with the Amber Boys, they said they can allow community schools to operate. Catholic schools, Presbyterian schools, and Baptist schools to operate. In my area, I'm from Boy Division, in Ginicom subdivision, the village called Molloy. There are community schools that are going on. In my subdivision, Fendon subdivision, Boy Division, there is Christ the King College that is going on. There are religious schools that school from religious background. They have allowed them to operate. The community schools, Amber Boys, the generals have recruited teachers and they are paying them. I'm talking about my area. They don't want for conditions for school to resume. I'm talking about opinions now of the guys fighting on the ground. For school now to go on, they don't want to see flags hoisted with green, red, yellow in government schools, and they want the history of Southern Cameroon to be taught in those schools. Those are the calamities or the issues that are surrounding school resumption in Northwest and in the Southwest. If you want schools to resume, you should respect the conditions that are set by those who are fighting on the ground. And the military, they know the generals, all of them. Those who are giving orders are abroad. You've just cited one of the names.
Yeah, but schools are going on in other parts. In Cambe, schools are going on. In
Cambe is a buffer zone. We call it a buffer zone because there's a military base there. And access. I know Cambe more than you. Before, Cambe is in a plain. It's not easy to have an access to Cambe because there's a military base there. And when it is a plain land, there's no way to infiltrate. So Amber Boys find it difficult to go to Cambe.
Are you saying that it's Amber Boys who are disrupting schools? Because it means
Amber Boys are for school resumption, but they have given conditions. That's what I'm telling you. And the government Government has not respect that condition.
Yeah, my question to you is schools schools are going on in Cambe. It means that
Cambe is not Northwest.
Cambe is not Northwest?
Yes.
Schools are going on in Menchum.
Menchum?
Yes.
Where?
Schools are going on in Menchum.
Where in Menchum? I'm from the Northwest region and a master the milieu.
Schools are going on.
I want you to name the school where people are going on. Cambe, I can say yes. In Baminda up stations, I can say yes because there's a military base there.
Yeah,
in Cambe, there's a military base.
Okay, let's stay with my question. My question to you is, how do we build confidence amongst these education stakeholders in the Southwest, in the Northwest, so that these children don't waste these years without gaining education?
Chris Anno, the Secretary of Communication for Interim Government, I read from social media, I don't say that I'm representing said parents should send their children to other 8 regions in Cameroon because there's no security for those children to go back to school. Remember that Chris Anu, Ayabacho, Tapang Ivo, Mark Barretta, Chris, Eric Tato, Capo Daniel, Mark Barretta, they are the ones giving orders on the ground, on ground zero. And they have said that for school to resume, there are certain conditions. With that, those conditions fulfilled, school cannot go on. And school can only go on when there is there are military presence.
But what of those who cannot afford to send their children to the west or littoral regions? The poor.
They should leave them at home till the Southern Cameroon independence is restored according to their outing on social media and live videos on Facebook. I'm just relating what I read from Facebook.
Ima Kong, are you very comfortable that children should stay at home until there is an independence of the Southern Cameroons? Are you worried that our children are not going to school? And how do we fix this issue where the parents, the children, and maybe the school owners are comfortable to go about their activities without fear from either the Amber Boys or the military? Seemingly, Ima is not.
Yeah, please. I have a problem. Please.
Okay.
1 second, please. I have a problem. You said confidence. I want us to. Is confidence on what? It's worrying me. Is confidence on what? We're building confidence on what? I want you to really situate. We're building confidence on what? We don't just.
If you don't have confidence, you will not leave.
Confidence on what? Is it confidence? Is it confidence to end the phone crisis, or confidence to let children to go back to school, or maybe confidence for the killings to stop? I want to know the confidence so that we should address the issues correctly. I'm missing. I want you to precise.
We are going one step.
Okay. I want the confidence to
ask him,
so that I know what I can put in.
I ask him about the community. I asked him about the community. I ask you about school. I'm talking about. Because if you don't have confidence, you won't send your child to school. There are children that are going to school in Kumba.
Now I understand.
You understand?
Confidence on all those issues.
Yes, we have children who are going to school in Limbe, in Boya. If you don't have confidence, you won't send. But they need greater confidence, especially with what happened in Kumba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with what you are saying, beginning to think that it's not what happened in Kumba that is a problem.
Okay.
It is the whole Anglophone region that is a problem.
Okay.
I would tell people that honestly, since 2016, I've not visited Manfi. And being a citizen, an indigene of that particular area, it's shocking that you are kept out of your zone for 4 years. And you will not only talk about school, can we authoritatively carve the mind that we are going to school and at the same time we are unable to go to school? Well, that is what I said, that when you are in the CPDM party, at times I feel like they have changed their shadow for something else. Because the honesty, which we must talk to ourselves, can we make it better? Yes, we can make it better. Can governance provide education for all? Yes, it is possible. The organized, I'm telling you, if we need to build confidence, there's a need for national reconciliation. Okay. And that national reconciliation would not come by speeches. We needed to see the same pen, like I said here, that call for a national day of mourning that is going to compose a new team for national dialogue, and why not? Truth and Reconciliation Commission that is going to be created. And if we have to do so, then it will be better that we have, at one point, talk to Cameroonians in a very honest point. I remember when Nelson Mandela came out of prison, you imagine within world leaders what everybody was thinking, that Mandela was going to get all those who sent him to prison back to prison. But I'm telling you, when you rule a nation with honesty and at one point, as an Englishman, the fear of the Lord, you will not commit the errors we have made here. Can our indigents? Yes, I've seen, courageously, we will not talk about it, but the parliamentarian Gala Richard is doing better. How many parliamentarians have been to their areas? Even now that we are talking. How many still live in Manfe? Chiefs had to beg, a chief of a village, begging to go back to his own village. Then there's something more to that.
That is the trust.
How can
trust, so that
is what we are saying.
That is what I'm saying. Yeah,
we need the coming of a new elite.
Okay,
that's what Cameroonians don't know. For 60 years, this country has been ruled by hoodlums and desperados that have taken the nation hostage. Look at when you talk within a group of youths today, some people feel like the post of the president is a lifetime position. Somebody will ask you who is the Paul Biya of Nigeria, which means the presidential post become a traditional stool where others can be the same in other nations. My children grow up to know that the Speaker of the National Assembly in Cameroon has never changed since 1992. It is a total bokon. Total bokon. And we have those who think absolute power corrupts absolutely. We cannot argue that. When you keep the same people on the same arm of chair, they feel like it all belongs to them. There is a need for a new makeup. That is what I'm telling you. When you go even at the level of the party, you have seen a lot of youths, even at the rank of the CBDM, within last week and this week, they are disgruntled. That they have been kicked out of the party, away from the energy they have been contributing. Because in the party, those who still remain as the gods of the party are in their 80s and their 90s. And they believe that until you are age 70, 60, 50, you cannot rule. But I believe very strongly, I have seen parliamentarians in other parts of the world at age 23, at age 25. We have seen leaders, presidents at age 39. Can Cameroon count? We are not saying that the CPM party should stop existing. People make up. People build a new beginning and give confidence in people. If you are talking of confidence. There is a time you ask those who are on retirement to wait and see what the youths can do. Members of parliament rush over a budgetary session. 8 hours, 9 hours, and a bill is voted. When I see in other nations, parliamentarians make a debate for continuous 48 hours without sleeping. What type of budget do we want to bring us phone tax, which is later discarded as if it was not well thought of? We need to build
Mr. Njo,
Cameroon from zero.
Yes, Mr. Njo, how do we build, because we are looking at the urgency for the path to definite peace in the southwest and northwest regions. There is polarization amongst the people, with some thinking that they are pro-Ambas, others are pro-government. But there is also that dichotomy between the population and the administration and the security officials in this part of Cameroon. How do we build, make the people actually regain confidence and work in perfect accord with the administration that is in place and the security officials?
J'ai déjà apporté un élément de réponse à cette préoccupation tout à l'heure, à l'entame de mon propos, mais je vais ajouter autre chose à la suite de ce qu'a dit le copanéliste, le docteur, vous avez dit docteur
Ako,
le docteur Ako. Il a pris l'exemple d'un député, d'Ngala Djera, qui fédère ses populations, ses frères, autour de l'idéal de l'idéal. Notre idéal ici, c'est le Cameroun, c'est la République. Et les actions sont menées sur le terrain. Et les mêmes actions sont poursuivies par l'État, par la reconstruction. Nous savons tous qu'il y a un ensemble d'instances, d'institutions, de commissions qui ont été mises en place par le chef de l'État pour recréer la dynamique de la vie à partir de la reconstruction d'un certain nombre d'éléments qui ont été détériorés par les séparatistes. C'est comme ça des facteurs, c'est des approches, c'est ces approches-là qui apportent au sein de la population une somme de confiance. Je vais continuer et dire l'armée. Mes deux panélistes ne l'ont pas relevé. L'armée fait dans le social.
On a vu l'armée.
On a vu
défricher des écoles.
On a vu l'armée qui construit les écoles, qui réhabilite les écoles. On a vu l'armée qui réhabilite les routes. On a vu l'armée qui réhabilite les ponts.
Est-ce qu'il faut plus?
Il y a l'armée qui soigne, qui fait dans la couverture sanitaire des populations. Ça, c'est les éléments pour ramener l'esprit de confiance. Parce que ces populations sont des citoyens d'une nation. Et c'est pour ça que je vais poser la question à mon copanéliste. Oui, pour lui demander quelle est sa nationalité. Vous êtes de quelle nationalité?
Je suis Camerounais.
Vous êtes sûr?
Oui, je suis Camerounais.
Quand on vous écoute parler au moment où nous pensons qu'il faut construire la République, on a l'impression d'avoir en face de soi un étranger. Parce que vous encensez les faits d'armes des séparatistes sur un plateau de télévision. L'État, pour vous, l'État du Cameroun dont vous portez fièrement la nationalité, à moins que je ne me trompe, n'a rien fait. Elle ne fait rien. Le compatriote en a cité. Monsieur Koum en parle. Mais vous n'en parlez pas. J'ai l'impression d'avoir sur la table un séparatiste. C'est pas, je me trompe certainement. Mais j'ai dit ici. C'est pour ça que je vous ai demandé quelle est votre nationalité. Et c'est bien qu'on vous dise que vous êtes Camerounais. J'en suis fier de l'entendre de votre bouche. Mon frère, on a une chose à faire. On a un idéal à construire. C'est notre République. Chacun à son niveau. Comme le fait Gérard Ngala. Comme le fait les autres dans leurs différents secteurs d'activité ou dans leur région. Faites-le aussi. Même sur un plateau de télévision. On a vu les anciens, enfin, certains séparatistes appeler les compatriotes à aller à l'école quand même. Ce n'est pas mauvais. Ça, c'est certainement dans la suite de la main tendue du chef de l'État. Nous savons tous qu'à un moment, à une certaine époque, beaucoup avaient pratiquement refusé l'existence de l'école. Mais les plus durs ont appelé à la rentrée scolaire. Comment est-ce qu'on pense construire un État sans des personnes éduquées?
Okay. Imam, if you are there, the situation out here is very complex. Many persons do not know who to turn to. And since we are looking towards a definite path to peace, can the population turn to the church? What should be that key role that the church should play to advance the agenda of peace?
All right, that is a very important question, and I think that bringing in the church at this point is just very timely and relevant. But before I talk about the role of the church, Leonard, I would also want to bring out the aspect of justice when we talk about confidence building, especially in times like this. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things that I think can make Cameroonians to start trusting or to start believing in possible peace, because what you sense is loss of hope. Many people feel like we are going to be in this, let me use the word shit, for a very long time. Why? Because those who perpetrate the evil, those who kill our children, always go scot-free. But if we get to a point, when I talk about justice, I'm talking about a situation where, like what happened in Gabu, we actually get to know the real perpetrators of violence, and there are mechanisms that are put in place that the population can actually follow to see that the perpetrators of violence are brought to book. Not that they just do some kind of investigation and then after so much accusations and counter accusations, they finally come and tell us that, okay, the military was responsible for the violence. What happened to them after that? The public deserves to know. The public needs to know what is going on and to be able to follow. Because when people are in a position where they think that a group of people can just come and perpetrate any kind of violence on them and go scot-free, then they give up. There's nobody they can trust. But if we begin to think, or if the government makes people to understand that once such a crime is committed, and I'm also using this opportunity to bring in the position of international, especially rights groups and rights organizations, because we have seen in the case of our country that they are never competent to carry out objective investigations. International organizations always have to come in for us to know what is actually going on. So it is a call that the international organization, the rights groups, they should know that people no longer trust the Cameroon government, especially for any kind of investigation. I made a joke once. It was a joke, but there was a lot of meaning in it. That I've heard that in Cameroon, once you're told that something is being investigated, it simply means the case is closed. And I gave the example, a very common example of, I had a short stay in a hotel in Kribi, and upon leaving the hotel, I noticed that one of my dresses were missing. I complained to the hotel management, and they told me that they were investigating. Immediately, I told the group of people I was with this story, and I told them that the hotel said they were investigating. They all laughed and they said, oh, in Cameroon, once you heard we are investigating, just forget it. But that is not how it should be. But if we are in a situation where people make us to understand the powers that be, the government, the officials that we are supposed to trust in, if they make us to understand that once such things happen, let's take the case of Kumba. Children have been killed. All we hear are accusations and counter accusations. What are they doing to make sure that the public actually knows who is responsible and the public sees that these people are adequately punished? That is part of confidence building. A situation where people can know that once things like this happen, they can trust on their powers, on their officials, on their authorities to bring the perpetrators of such violence to book. Then they will begin to have confidence in whatever they tell them.
But what if these actions were not done by government officials? How do you apprehend them?
No, I'm not saying it is not only the government official. The government should not only investigate when it involves government officials. I believe that the government owns the public security accountability on all fronts. Mm-hmm. So in this case, we want to know who perpetrated the violence. But at this point, we don't know who was responsible. Mm-hmm. All we hear is one side pointing fingers on the other side. So who is well placed? Who has this responsibility of giving information and giving investigative results to the public to make them know who actually perpetrated the violence? Do we even trust our government enough that whatever they tell us, we believe that this is true? Because the situation has just happened and every side is trying to point fingers at the other side. At this point, we don't even know who to believe. But we need to have a system where when such things happen and they tell us that they are investigating, we can sit back and say, yes, our government has told us that they are investigating and we trust them to investigate and give us objective results. That is confidence building. But I'm sorry, it is still very shaky in Cameroon. Okay. It always takes a lot of pressure, especially from the international community, for this kind of investigation to be done, like we saw in the case of Ndabo.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening to you and the three other panelists. My greetings especially to Mr. Ako. Tell him we love him so much. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Kum. And panelists, I want to thank Dr. Ako for speaking without mixing it worries me when when some people only think it's President Biya can change things. Charles is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Charles. Good evening, Mr. Liu. And panel said Dr. John is very objective in his presentation, but the other man is out to push the Ambazonian agenda. Such people don't need to be on air and need to be arrested. Okay. I'm writing. My name is Bob, writing from Kumba. Mr. Liu, please ask these questions to the IAPOL advisor. He says Amber Box have created community schools in their area. Please ask him who will sign the certificates when they write the GCE. Please ask him when IAPOL was in CPD and what has he done for the village? He is a militant and is an Amber supporter. Johnson is writing from Tico. This one says, please, we should stop all these killings in our country. We need peace, not war. We need perfect go back to school. And one more thing, we need a young president with young blood if we want our country back. Bless is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Bless. For a Collins says, hello, Mr. Liu and the panelist. Confidence is built when there is love, real peace and justice, like Ima just said. It's not based on a decree. Let's reconcile our differences and correct errors. Collins is writing from Bangem. I don't know whether it's Tombell or Bangem. This one says, Mr. Waters, why are you selling those children and teachers in your area by telling the world that Amber Boys have recruited teachers to teach in your area? Martin is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Liu. So the program today is getting me irritated in that your panelists do not seem to either understand your questions or are deliberately singing same old songs in the usual political arguments. Let them answer your questions about confidence building on both sides and relieve the population from this blacklegness. Andre is writing from Tico. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all in the studio, please. No sound. I'm Cyril Kapo watching from Douala. I'm sure the sound issue has been fixed. Esther writing from Kumba says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you all in the house. Your program is educative. Mr. Dr. Ako is the man of the day. Thank you very much. This one says, okay, the government has failed us and they keep on telling lies. We want this problem to end, but based on the truth. Atefo writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Atefo. Good evening is Franklin from Douala. I don't know why lots of Cameroonians can't copy from Dr. Ako. I like him because he always stands up for justice and says the truth. Hello. Good evening. Babila is writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and to the great panelists in the studio. Special thanks to you, Dr. Ako John. Okay, Akame Julius is writing from Bangem. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Please ask questions on both sides. Don't only remain on Amber Boys. Amber Boys, although all of them are committing errors. Enoch Clovis is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you guys at the studio. This is Ivo from Douala. We find it very easy to condemning the government when atrocities are being carried out, but refuse to scold our children, whom we all know have been doing more of same. It still baffles me to see us at this level not being able to call out the real perpetrators of this monstrous acts. We brought this on ourselves. We helped in arming bandits and ex-convicts and still expected positive results from them. We have an obligation as Anglophones to be able to talk to these, our children, our brothers, to come out of the bushes and go, okay, to the DDR centers. I don't know who is writing. Now, Walters, what can the civil society do? People may say we don't trust the government, we don't trust Amber Boys, but there is a civil society. I asked about the church to Imado. She also talked about confidence building.
I think we have a civil society representative here from the Popular Action Party. If you ask me what can
are you saying that as a political party, you don't know what or how the civil society can help you to fix what is happening?
Well, I don't know the program of the civil society. I'm the Popular Action Party. You have somebody representing the civil society.
No. He will answer the question. He will answer.
Well, let me ask the question to my party. I'm representing my party here.
Yes. What do you think political parties can do to build confidence in Cameroonians? Cameroonians are lost.
They should be united. They should be united, and for them to be united, there must be that confidence in all the parties. But we have discovered that in Cameroon we have parties of parties that are from the right and parties that are from the left and parties that are in the middle and parties that are from the administration. And so it makes it difficult for us to have a coalition of parties to build the confidence. I take the example like the Union for Change in 1990 with Nijon Fundi, who with his party formed the Union for Change and won the 1992 elections, even though it was stolen, like the one of Professor Maurice Kamto today. So that is the scenario that we witness in Cameroon. It's very difficult for parties to come today in Cameroon because there are some parties that are treated to be tribalistic parties. I know that in each party, there are components of tribalism. That one, I can say it authoritatively. There are components of tribalism. It's because of that tribalistic nature, our differences in culture and our ability of desires, maybe money, materialistic, appointment, positioning, that makes some party now to be different from others, which makes it difficult still. I'm demonstrating, which makes it difficult still to be united and build the confidence. You cannot treat a party like a tribalistic party and you want that party to join you and build. You have a party where ministers come from there, divisional delegates, directors, the members of Elections Cameroon, majority, more than 80% come from the same party. You have the Constitutional Council where more than 9 members come from the same party. And you want that party to call for a confidence with other parties where they treat them to be dogs, to be petty parties, politics, or petty parties as they call them. With that speech, how do you want confidence to be built?
Walters,
that's my demonstration. It's not
Walters,
possible.
what you are demonstrating, is what obtains.
Yes.
But because of the crisis, don't you think that political parties should overcome this and see the need to look beyond regional, tribal, and other lines because they want to see the problems fixed?
The government does not want to give the opportunity for those political parties to bring their opinions and their ideas to be addressed on the table. You want me to take examples?
So you are saying that the government is saying that CPP and
the government is blocking
that the CPP and the CRM should not work together.
CPP, PAP, CRM, FDR and others, they are blocking them.
How is the government blocking it?
How the government blocking them? When they organize march and protest, does the government give them an authorization?
But we saw Professor Maurice Kamto calling for a march, and that march was not backed by the CPP because the CPP thought that they should take a different direction. The SDF thought that there should be a different direction. How does the government come to that?
They were disagreeing to agree. But they were in the same line of ideology.
Okay. Do you think that you are a member of the civil society? You have a very great role to play as far as building confidence and trying to fixing the problems within our population.
Yeah, it is really interesting. But
can you also force these guys?
Yeah, we are not forcing. Like I just said at the beginning.
You should ask him where is his civil society, either is of the right or of the left, because I'm from a civil society organization. Dr. John Akko, yes, I'm from the civil society. I love the civil society. No, I'm no more there. I know how they operate. I was there before I joined the political party. Ask him whether he's from the left or from the right or in the middle, because we know there are some of them that are towards the government, some are towards the lower population. Some are with the population,
Mr. Walter.
and those are closer to the government. They take money and they come on plateaus to be allies to the government. Some that don't take money, they join opposition, and some are on the neutral. They are objective.
Mr. Walters, I believe somewhere that we are here within a panel and which is being moderated by the officials of this particular media. One of the things I want to say, it is the same way Cameroonians don't feel belonging, and there is what we call self-centered tendencies, which I always say several times. Many Cameroonians will not get me. A lot of political parties are being locked up by what they call party politics or party discipline. A lot of members at the level of MRC party feels like what the CPP is doing is not proper, what the PCRN is doing is not proper, and that only their party is doing the best. Is that the role of the opposition? I mean, opposition, wherever we have opposition, it is not fragmentation. Opposition is not fragmentation. Of position is to see how they can better off the present situation for a common good. Why politics, when look on egocentric centers, feel that first it serves individual? That is what goes on with the CPDM party. You find a lot of people regretting that they were not appointed, which means that at any time you find a member of a particular party, he wants to be appointed. What do you want from the party for you to be appointed? What do you have for Cameroonians? Politics at one end was made equally to serve the interests of the people. Is this the representation of the people? I have said that several times, that there is a need for all opposition parties in Cameroon to have a common platform, where they interact, to have a common ground. You cited very rightly that there was a 1990 union of the SDF party with many other opposition party, and Nijon Fudi was presented, and we saw the result. That whatsoever statistics presented that it was rigged by the ruling party, can we equally authoritatively present the case today that the opposition parties in Cameroon still represents the identity that was in 1990? We will answer that question in the negative, and to tell you that the oppositions today in Cameroon has failed to meet with the aspiration of the people. You might be right that there is a ruling party in opposition. I mean, the CPDM has created other groups as opposition parties to fragment and weaken the power of the opposition. But that does not mean that the opposition in Cameroon cannot overcome these challenges. We are all human beings, and that at times men commit errors. When errors are committed, we don't look where the errors come from. We must look at where we can stand and make a common force. Together we stand, divided we fall. This is politics. It's a game of number. And you feel, no matter how small a village may be, no matter how small a political party may be, we need them in an opinion to win confidence. If you are saying, because most often than not, a lot of this opposition party don't even represent in all the 10 regions. What do we need to do? We need to get to your stronghold and pick support. We need to get to this stronghold and pick support so that the opposition in Cameroon can come on a platter of gold if we need to change things by 2025. One doesn't know. Maybe today I represent the civil society movement. By 2025, we may have a different agenda. Every human being is free. At the level of the civil society movement in Cameroon, which you ask, I'm telling you honestly, that a lot of people are doing well. The churches are doing their job, but then, sometime and again, we realize that within the same civil society movement, remember we have what they call them, the Big 20, the Big 35, and a lot make their declaration. Most of them were in search of appointments or other small envelopes to help them permit. I am a member and the founder of the Cameroon Youth Movement Association, which I believe that changing Cameroon will mean changing the mentality of the present youths and give them the new way forward. And that if those who are there in power has failed, because it is not said, again, it is not even a story to be told. The youths know that they are at the last in the terms of decision making in Cameroon. But at several times they are told that the youths make up the majority of the nation. Can we think otherwise? And seriously, we are going to see that within a short while, there is a need, if the youths are the majority, that a lot of them can become politicians too, so that their own mates who are within the age can follow them up into politics. Why not elect them into political offices? Can we build this confidence within the youths and make it better off? We have seen the Cardinal Toomey Commission of the All Anglophone Conference being thwarted by the political confusion that has been built by a system in Yaoundé. Can we give the civil society, can we allow them play a role? Somebody asked sometime, who are we going to talk with? And there is an initiative from the civil society to form a common group where representatives of whatsoever faction. In fact, Mr. Waters was trying to say at the stress outing, even though some people might not be understanding, is that we have a lot of people that we can talk to. If we need to build confidence in this nation, Cameroon must break the even. And I mean, nobody wins. Nobody will win. If the government calls SACO directly that we have to talk to you, can we visit you in wheresoever we are, and let's talk this thing out. If it is for the purpose of Cameroon, let's keep self-pride. This is what is killing government now. We have a lot of people in government that don't even think about the nation and think like telling you that we cannot talk to you is a way forward. There is a need to talk to all those who are concerned as far as conflict resolution is concerned. Every actor matters. Like Ima said, even the press, the journalists, their role is needed. So you are all members of the civil society. We are not the politicians who are in front, but we need all Cameroonians to act, and the actors in the field. Nobody is small. Because what do we see? You realize that in Manfe it's getting very hot, in Cambe is cool. You get to Womb, when you get to places like Furawa or Fumot, I will just tell you the story in Manfe or Kumba, or whatsoever is happening in Boya. Can we identify these people who are on the ground? Government, talk to them. These are Cameroonians. Can we break this even? Can we be courageous? I'm telling you that the Prime Minister of Ethiopia won the Nobel Peace Prize because he was capable of reaching an accord which others thought centuries ago that Ethiopia can never be a friend to Eritrea. And I'm telling you, after that move by the Prime Minister of that country, he won the Nobel Peace Prize just at a single action. Can we carry things that are positive to serve human beings than serving our own personal egoists?
Now, we are talking about building trust and confidence back in the Southwest and Northwest regions. I will ask you now, Mr. Njo, you of the CPDM party, do you think that the political elites themselves are representing the population can help in this move? He cited the case of Ngalajarat, but I don't know how many more persons are doing what he is doing. We have municipal and legislative elections that took place in these two regions, and people were elected. And we have ministers who are from these two regions who are militating with the CPDM party. Do you think they have a responsibility, a daunting task to also help to rebuild confidence in these two regions? And what actions should they be seen as engaging in?
Oui, l'élite locale, l'élite de façon générale a un rôle à jouer. Il y a l'élite au niveau administratif, il y a l'élite au niveau local, traditionnel, du commandement traditionnel. Il y a même l'élite au sein des groupes de pression. Il y a des mouvements de jeunes, par exemple, dans lesquels on trouve une certaine élite. Il y a des mouvements de femmes dans lesquels on va trouver une certaine élite. Je pense que il faut prendre la question sur son volet général, global. Il est question ici, sans exclure personne, d'apporter une contribution globale. C'est-à-dire, on ne parle plus d'un groupe quelconque, soit qui vient de Yaoundé, soit un groupe qui réside sur place. Il est question de créer une coalition au sein des communautés, au sein des populations des régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest pour penser la paix. Parce que, comme nous le savons, les populations du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest ont accordé leur confiance aux compatriotes qui ont été élus, soit au niveau de l'Assemblée nationale, soit au niveau local avec les élections municipales. Voilà, nous sommes en train d'arriver petit à petit vers les élections régionales où le commandement traditionnel et les conseillers municipaux sont appelés à élire les délégués, toujours qui sont des représentants de ces populations locales. Et d'autres groupes vont agir dans la mouvance de la création des mécanismes de paix. Parce que il n'y a pas que le gouvernement qui œuvre pour apporter cette paix-là. Il y a la société civile. Un peu comme vous aviez parlé tantôt. Il y a la société civile qui est associée lors du grand dialogue national. Toutes ces mouvances ont été invitées. Tous les leaders d'opinion susceptibles d'apporter leur contribution à un Cameroun nouveau à partir qui est né à la suite de cette grande assemblée. Tout le monde y avait été convié. Alors, pour chuter, je vais dire, la société civile aujourd'hui est diluée parce qu'il y a plus des hommes politiques qui cachent, des hommes politiques qui se camouflent dans la société civile, mais qui sont, ces sociétés civiles, c'est des partis politiques qui ne disent pas leur nom. Nous savons, on a connu des fondations X et Y qui ont soutenu au vu au su de tout le monde des séparatistes. Alors que nous savons aussi que la société civile a quand même un rôle important à jouer. C'est un moyen de pression sur l'action gouvernementale pour apporter de son énergie dans l'action gouvernementale. Mais la nôtre joue un autre rôle. Celui de déstabiliser, celui d'aller appeler les pays étrangers pour venir déstabiliser le Cameroun. Voilà la société civile.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and great panelists on board My Media Prime TV. I really enjoyed the program this evening. Thanks very much for educating Cameroonians as concerned the situation in Cameroon. I'm waiting for the results from the lady at Kumba City Council nailed. I believe on it, and definitely it will come. Thanks. I'm Zimo, writing from Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists. Mr. Aku, thanks very much for your powerful analysis. So many people don't want this crisis to end because they are benefiting from it. We pray God's intervention soonest. Sakwe is writing from Tico. Good evening to you, Sakwe. I am Maxel. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thank you, Dr. Ako, for speaking the facts that can go a long way to help this nation. Your program is always educative. I'm Marcel More, writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Marcel. This one says, you're welcome, Mr. Leo. You see, My Media Prime is the best TV of the year. We are glad to know that. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Leo. We have reached a stage in this crisis where people like Walter shouldn't be invited. How can this man be saying that children should wait for the independence of Amba before going to school? He claims to have a mastery of the Northwest, but I disagree with him. The people of Mkambe said no to Amba and their children are going to school. It's a disgrace, okay? Separatists want children to go to school. My cry goes to the less privileged families who can't move their children out of the Northwest. Nga is writing from Kumbu. Good evening to you, Nga. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's that whenever we have the French-speaking person on the platform, we always argue when others are talking. Julius is writing from Bonaberry. Good evening to you, Julius. Agawa Fashion writing from Kumbasi. Greetings to you all in the studio. Mr. Liu, peace is priceless, and if there is no inclusive dialogue, people will keep on dying in the Northwest and Southwest region. The civil societies are humans, and some of them are for and against what is happening in the two regions of the country. Mr. Liu, more needs to be done by the government irrespective of our differences for peace to reign. Thank you very, very much. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I would support Mr. Walters that there no schools going on in areas he cited because of you see students going to school, you will be tempted to say they are going to the farm, to social gatherings. Students cannot be going to school without uniforms. What differentiates students with workers? What can make people in the world believe that schools have started in these areas with its uniforms? Kizito is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you in the studio. The government should dialogue with the Ambazonian leaders through okay. CY is also writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you guys. Where is the special status from the National Dialogue Cameroon? Okay, Metro Ngano is writing from Bamenda too. Oops. Stop calling. When you call, it's difficult for me to read your message. Mr. Leo, courage to your efforts. If anyone needs confidence to be bestowed on him, he should be honest. When the government will, for once, be honest, then confidence will come. George is writing from the United States of America. We move over to you, Ima. we are left with 20 more minutes. I want us to talk about the women doing the difference. Can they make a difference? We saw the women across Cameroon. We saw them in Yaoundé, in Douala, in Bafoussam, in Bamenda and Boya yesterday and today. Do you think that the women have been grossly neglected since the commencement of this conflict?
Yes and no. Why yes and no? First, I would want to say that it's a big coup to the women of Cameroon, because I am seeing them coming out like never before. I am seeing them assuming their responsibility. I am seeing them recognizing their role in conflict resolution, in peace building. Because when we have seen that usually women are neglected, that is something that we cannot really explain all of it today. In decision-making processes, there's been it's not a Cameroon thing, there's been an international cry about the involvement of women in decision-making processes. And this is happening at a time when I think tomorrow, the 31st of October, is actually the 20th commemoration of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security. So if the UN Security Council sat and saw the need to come up with a resolution involving women in peace and security, it means that they have recognized the role that women have to play as far as peace building is concerned. I cannot begin to overemphasize the messages that the women in Cameroon in particular have been carrying out in their placards. We've seen them in Bamenda, like you said, we've seen them in Boya, you've seen them in Yaoundé. The big question that I am still asking is, why has the ministry or the minister of women's empowerment in Cameroon not gone down to Kumba? Because I was expecting, especially this year, 20th commemoration of UN Security Council Resolution 1325, I was expecting that after the Kumba incident, I would see the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family in Cameroon leading peaceful demonstrations with women in Kumba, to make the powers that be know that women are taking up their responsibility. And there is, when such things happen, it always goes round and round, and the pinch of the woman is always small. Those children were born by women. The boys that are killed are women's husbands, they are women's sons. So I cannot begin to emphasize the role of the women. We are in an age where we are talking of women's empowerment, we are talking of more women in politics, we are talking about women in decision-making processes, and in crisis situations like this, we've seen women being used as weapons of war. In Cameroon, in our own Cameroon, we've seen it happen. We've seen women being raped by military officials. We've seen a girl being buried alive because she's accused of dating a military official. I mean, these things have happened to women, and it is just but normal and high time that they take up that responsibility and say enough is enough. I was reading an article about the role of the Takumbong. Takumbong, we have it in the Northwest region, where they actually, a women cult in the Northwest, where they actually come out naked. And once that happened, in the early 1990s, when that happened, it's kind of a curse on the land. If women have to come out and are crying, and the people involved in the crisis don't think that it is time for them to redress their actions, then there is a big problem somewhere. So Leonard, I want to say that I want to applaud the role, what the women of Cameroon are doing, and I'll come back to this video I saw of the governor of the Southwest region putting it into women. These are women who were mourning, women who were crying for their children that had been killed, coming out to say enough is enough. We want peace. We want an end to the killings. We don't care to know who is responsible. We don't care to know who is blaming who. We want our children to go to school, and we want you to stop shooting and killing them. We want you to sit down on that dialogue table and talk sustainable solutions to this problem. And then the governor comes out and is forcing women to say that they know who the people killing children. And like I earlier said, this is a situation where no proper investigation has been done and no report has been presented to the public to say that these are the perpetrators of the Kumba massacre. But here is a government official putting it into mourning women to accept that it is their children that are killing their own brothers. So I think that I was very happy when I saw the oneness in the voices of women. Because in the past, we've seen situations where these kind of things happen, and then there's a lot of division where a segment of women are saying one thing and another group is saying another. But I was very happy when I saw that even in a situation like this, they were able to say all in one voice, we do not know. That tells you that the women they've had enough and they are ready to take issues into their own hands.
Okay, thank you, Ima from Aude. Now, Waters, do you think, like other persons, that women have been particularly targeted by parties involved in this crisis? We've seen women humiliated, some of them killed in the nastiest of ways, and they have been killed because they are suspected by both parties as spying for either party.
Up to some of the ideas of the two panelists.
Yeah, we have just 10 minutes to go.
I know.
Yeah.
The civil society representative said that there are some parties that are not represented. I want to tell him that there is a problem with the electoral court and the electoral system. An example is the divisional officer of Bazu in the West region, who said publicly that he has blocked so many parties who are compiling their documents to run in for elections. Then secondly, you spoke about Ngalajera. I want to tell you that we know how they get to Northwest region. When they go there, they reach at the divisional headquarters, they settle scores, they send in some money to bribe the Amber boys so that they should not be kidnapped along the way before they get there. Ngalajera should stop deceiving people. I know him very well and I know Kambe very well. Ngalajera go to Kambe and come back freely because he gives money behind to Amber boys.
Yeah, but we don't have any proof to that there.
You don't have any I'm from the Northwest region. I'm telling you what is happening.
So you give money to Amber boys?
I'm not saying I give money. I said that all the elites that are in all the divisions is because you called one name. They give money behind before they get there. And then secondly, thirdly, you the listeners. I'm not coming here to please televiewers. I'm coming here for action. I'm coming here for action. I'm not coming here for analysis. I'm coming here to propose for action and not for analysis and for objectivity. And that's why we are a Popular Action Party.
Okay.
We are talking about the women. Well, where were the women when the deaths stood today up to 10,000 deaths and more than 2,000 soldiers? Where were the women? That is my question. They are just there to cover up what is hidden for a problem to be solved.
Yeah, but my question to you is that have they been particularly targeted? You say where have they been? But I'm sure in your native com we saw women burying their sons and husbands, digging the graves. I'm sure you saw those videos.
Obviously,
they have been bearing the brunt of this because
crisis. The military do not want to see any boys.
Yeah, but you're asking where are the women? We saw those women doing this. How can at this time we have seen women who were killed? Ayafo Florence is one of them, and a host of others. Are you saying that they have not been targeted? We saw the video of the lady who was killed in Moyuka.
We are wasting our time with consequences. These are actions from the consequences that are faced by the women in the Northwest and the Southwest. But we want action, and the action is now. We should convey an inclusive dialogue if we don't want women to undergo those.
Are you undermining what the women are doing now? Coming out.
I'm not undermining. I'm not neglecting what they're doing. I'm saying that they're wasting their time because nothing will change. How many times have we said end Anglophone crisis, end killings? Another incident will occur. I concur with you that women have to do that. Another incident will appear in the days ahead. We don't know where is the next target. Women will come out. Should we continue with women to be coming out in blacks, to be talking the same thing every day without the problem being resolved? That is where my problem lies.
Are you saying that women have no role to play to pushing the peace agenda in Cameroon?
They have a role, but the problem is the strategy. The strategy.
That is what I want you to what do you want the women to do?
I want all the women in Cameroon to be united as one, but will they be hurt by the government? That is the fundamental question here. Because for them to be united as one, they must be having the same ideology. But we have women from different angles, political parties, civil society, traditional and religious. So it's difficult for women in Cameroon today to come out as being united because some of them have different reasons, or maybe they have diverse ideas on coming together, their cultural differences. Yes.
Okay.
So it's very difficult for us to pass behind women to solve their own crisis.
Yeah. Can we undermine the power of women when we know what they did? I'm sure in Sierra Leone, we know what Rosa Parks did in America. When we talk of the emancipation of the blacks in America, can we undermine the role that women can play in bringing peace in Cameroon?
It is difficult to undermine the role of women. And I don't want to even get to the other question. One of the issues is that we should know that there have been women and children have been the highest victims of conflicts. And within the time, you will always equally know that the men are the one fighting in the conflict. And so who then should suffer the armor? Women have left to pay the price of every conflict situation. And in many instances, some of them have made remarkable change. We might have equally been praying that a nation like Cameroon, the women to the ministers and the women to those we call them the military. I remember sometime in Egypt during the Arab Spring when people came out, men and women and children. I'm not again saying this is the events that are not even old enough that we can still verify them. The military refused to shoot. Can we equally call the role of the military in this particular war? I remember in the Algerian movement, when the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, similar to commander-in-chief in Cameroon, Zemeka, told the state, we are not shooting. And that Mr. President handled this issue otherwise. Can we have people of integrity in Cameroon that killing is enough? And that Mr. Zemeka tell the head of state, President Paul Biya, this is the approach. Can we handle this issue otherwise? They know it is possible. They know they can do it. But it is vehemently, I will not get down, that if a minister's wife, the prime minister, the minister of defense, their children and their wives come in front to march with that black, let us see decorated morning day tomorrow.
Yeah, because
we need the women to talk to their husbands.
Yeah, because the question I was going to ask is, if all the wives of the ministers say we must end this, all the wives of the separatists say we must end this, are you sure
that
this?
It is. I don't want to get to biblical saying because I used to say somewhere that when Lucifer discussed with Eve, it was not because Lucifer could not discuss with Adam, but Lucifer knows that using Eve could change a decision in the Garden of Eden, which means women have a role. Biblically, if the women can talk to their husbands who are in decision making, including the first lady, Chantal Biya can tell the head of state, let's end this mess.
Most of the
military,
most of the military guys are married. The Amber boys are.
Let's talk about the Amber. I'm just telling you that somewhere I've told you that when you call Amber, you give a name of somebody. But what we are in there in the northwest and the southwest, forget about Amber. Military knows that there are so many people in the northwest region. There is Amber in the government. Are you aware? Do you know that there are some people who group some people, boys, in their villages and arm them? We talk on Gabu. We are not going far. In the Gabu massacre, how many militias were there that were not even considered military? About 10 of them. They all disappeared in thin air. So I get the highest person here, which we are talking, the military has a role to play. The decision makers have the role to play. Imagine like the two cases I cited in Egypt and Algeria where militaries refused to shoot. Where the general said, Mr. President, step down. The people's demands are legitimate. Can we have such courageous people in Cameroon that can come out and give total opinion on the head of state to stop this mess? People have used the military warfare as people they call Amber war business. This is what people are saying. How many lecturers have died at the University of Bamenda? Should we continue burying Cameroonians in such ugly instances?
Okay.
Can Cameroon do better? The women, I may sincerely call on the First Lady Madame Chantal Biya to talk to the president as a husband. My husband, it is time we end this mess. They will do it.
Mr. Njo, can the women make a difference in Cameroon today? With respect to what is happening now?
La femme a un rôle très important à jouer. Je suis un peu gêné quand j'écoute mon voisin parler. C'est comme si la femme, ou c'est comme si seuls ceux qui gouvernent le pays, nos compatriotes qui gouvernent le pays, sont les seuls à avoir des femmes. Vous lui avez dit.
Non, il a
attendez, excusez.
Je ne veux pas qu'on parle loin.
Non.
La seule personne qui a convoqué ce dialogue national, Grand National Dialogue, it was not convoked by anybody for us to discuss Cameroon. The only person that can group Cameroonians right now is the head of state. Nobody can group Cameroonians.
Je vais continuer. Je vais dire, la femme a un rôle important à jouer. Moi, je vais beaucoup plus m'attarder sur la femme qui vit dans la zone de crise. Parce que c'est elle qui vit au quotidien les effets de la crise. Quand nous savons que c'est la femme qui perd ses enfants, c'est la femme qui perd son époux, c'est la femme qui perd ses frères. Ça veut dire la femme est au centre de la résolution, où c'est elle qui peut également apporter une approche à la résolution de cette crise. Et comment? La femme doit collaborer avec les pouvoirs publics. La femme doit collaborer avec les forces de maintien de l'ordre et de défense. Parce que c'est dans cette collaboration-là que l'armée, que les forces de maintien de l'ordre, que l'administration aura suffisamment d'informations pour repérer les terroristes ou les séparatistes. Un cas d'exemple, vous avez parlé de Mouyuka. Oui. Ce gars qui a égorgé sa petite amie, qui est une fille, une femme, sous le prétexte qu'elle a eu des rapports avec, ou elle marchait avec des forces de défense. Mais il faut voir, on n'a pas besoin d'être impassionné dans le débat. Il est tout à fait normal qu'on interpelle, qu'on invite nos sœurs, nos mères, nos parents, toutes les femmes des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest à être les maillons de la paix. Et pour en être les maillons de la paix, elles doivent collaborer. Parce que l'ennemi vit dans nos maisons. J'ai entendu le gouverneur au Kalabila du sud-ouest oui, s'adresser aux femmes dans une vidéo où il leur a dit, vous les connaissez, dénoncez-les. Vous venez, vous pleurez, c'est tout le monde qui pleure aujourd'hui. Il y a eu des tueries d'enfants. Mais ces personnes-là vivent là. Ils sont connus par tout le monde. Ces personnes-là, ces séparatistes-là, raquettent, kidnappent les populations qui vivent avec eux. Là, sur place. Il est temps de dénoncer parce que la paix passe aussi par là.
Ok.
Parce qu'on ne pourra pas, l'État ne peut pas mettre un gendarme derrière un élève. L'État ne pourra jamais mettre un gendarme derrière chaque citoyen. Aujourd'hui, nous savons très bien qu'on est dans cette approche armée et nation. Ça veut dire que la nation, nous les citoyens, on a un rôle à jouer. Même dans ces zones, on dénonce les bandits du quartier.
Okay.
Quand ça ne va pas. Alors, combien de fois dans une zone de crise, comme dans ces régions, dans nos régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest.
Okay.
La collaboration doit être le mot essentiel.
Good evening, sir. I love your program. I think women have an important role to play, but if the minister's wives will go out too. Sorry, I'm dumb. I'm writing from Malabo. Good evening to you, Ndam, and to you, Angela, who should be watching us also from Malabo. Good evening to you all in the panel. It's very true that the ladies of those in the government can't come out to march because the aren't victims of this crisis, for their children are out of the country. Ken is writing from Limbe. Mr. Kum, I'm Fabian from Boya. Those women are being to do what they are doing, while other women are being stopped. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Lua. I believe women have a great role to play in the crisis cause the tears of a woman is highly recognized by God. So what the man in blue suit is saying makes okay.
Next what? Read the end. Why do you come to my messages and you jump? When most of them are in accord with me.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Good program and good panel. Kudos to Barrister Jonako. Good evening. Green Minds, as a student, I would like to express my disappointment in the administrators of this country. Please, they should stop asking us to join our voices to condemn the acts of killing and other crimes. Oui, bref,
Oui, juste pour dire quelque chose. Le ministère de la femme et de la famille avait organisé un mémorial.
Oui, à Yaoundé.
À Yaoundé, à l'honneur.
Oui, mais sauf que Ima a souhaité que ça devait être plus bien qu'elle se déplace à Kumba.
Oui. Oui, je suis d'accord. Mais nous savons très bien que la démarche du gouvernement est une démarche progressive en fonction de l'évaluation qui est faite sur le terrain. Mais l'activité qui a été faite à Yaoundé était circonscrite.
Okay.
Était circonscrite pour une période bien précise.
Pour couvrir la nation.
Maintenant donc, il va être à la suite de l'évaluation qui va être faite par l'équipe gouvernementale qui est allée sur le terrain, certainement, il va en sortir d'autres dispositions.
Yeah, you want to?
Yes, maybe I will not talk again. I want to.
Because I wanted Ima to talk. From Ima,
because I have something new for the government that they can use to.
After Ima?
Yes, there's something new I want to propose.
After Ima.
After Ima, I'll get to.
I have something new to the
yes,
government.
Yes, your last intervention, what, according to you, should be the move by the women now to get almost the entire nation behind them to force both the government and the separatists to end the war?
Okay, I'll start by denouncing an attitude that I have observed amongst Cameroonians. We have this tendency of asking discouraging questions each time women decide to do something, because when questions like where were they when this happened, where were they, why now, that's the kind of attitude that usually is very common in Cameroon, by the way, not just in the context of the Anglophone crisis, even in cases of rape. When someone comes out to denounce rape, they start asking questions like, why has she been silent all these years? So we have this tendency of always asking these questions to make people feel like they are not ready to do anything, or they should rather just stay quiet because they did not do it when people expected them to do it. What about the saying that it's better late than never? That's if we think that it is late. So if the women have decided to rise against what is happening in the country, we should not ask them where they have been, because I don't think they have been silent at all. Maybe they have just not been disorganized, because the organization and the mobilization and the oneness that I see in Cameroonian women in different organizations, I've seen a coalition, a network of different community women coming together to protest. That is something that it was not maybe very, very, very eminent or evident in the yesteryears, but it is happening now. So that is what I want to encourage, Leonard. We should not, the women should not listen to voices that will come to discourage them or to make them feel. I've heard people with narratives that it is all politics, they are doing it for political reasons and all. No, you can never understand the pain of a woman, and if they are coming out the way they are doing this time, is because they have actually told themselves that enough is enough. So I want to encourage them. I think that they are doing the right thing and they should continue. I want to see more leading women involved. Like I said, I want to see the Minister of Women's Empowerment. I want to see the women in Parliament. I want to see the Serap women in Cameroon. I want to see those leading women leading this struggle and telling their husbands and their sons, both in government and on the other side, that this has to come to an end.
Yeah, but what should be the strategy? Just telling them or greater mobilization and calling on other people to join them?
Greater mobilization. Greater mobilization. And those who are already involved, I suggest that because I acknowledge the bottom-up approach that they are using, but I think that now that they already have the support and the mobilization of those in the communities, the women in the communities and in the grassroots, they should now start targeting those in top positions. They should the Minister of Secondary Education is a woman, for crying out loud. We need to see her at the forefront of things like this. This, as secondary school students involved, we are talking about, we need to see her as a mother and as a minister spearheading such movements. We need to see the Minister of Women's Empowerment. We need to see the Minister of Social Affairs. We need to see these leading women in Cameroon. So those that are already doing it, the civil society women, they should now start targeting those in authority to join them and to take the lead.
Okay, yes, you had something to say?
I'm saying that all these things we are narrating here, all these stories, we have been doing that for more than 4 years today and nothing has changed.
Yes.
What I wanted to make it new here, what I want to tell, which is news, of course. There are some Cameroonians that have formed a coalition for negotiations, and what you call separatists abroad have accepted to intervene through different platforms on the internet so as to bring out the possible solution and meet the government. If the government is listening to me now, they should contact the Popular Action Party for more details. And to end, we have asked for ceasefire in the Northwest and the Southwest. That is the Popular Action Party. Release of all the Anglophones detained in connection to the Anglophone crisis. Amnesty to the leaders who are giving orders to Ground Zero from abroad. And then an inclusive dialogue with all the actors concerned. Thank you very much for inviting the Popular Action Party.
Yeah, okay, amnesty, I don't know. But the government has always said that whosoever wants to come, should come.
Whosoever wants to come, should come. When they organized the Great National Dialogue, they invited so-called amber fighters that carried guns and left people in prison who marched with peace plans. Do you call that actors? According to you, does that make sense? That people are in prison who march with peace plans. Like Mancho BBC and Co. and Sisiko Ayuktabe.
Yes, they were given...
And amber boys who carried guns were invited to National Dialogue, which were not even amber boys. Amnesty passed through the National Assembly.
Okay. What should be the strategy for the women for a greater impact? Please, very briefly, because we have just 3 minutes.
Yeah, there is nothing like I will insist to say. If at the level of those who are responsible for decision making, yeah, you have said something I remember very strongly, that a lot of women can change things. We are not talking of Rosa Parks as one, which is today monumental when it comes to the civil rights movement in the United States. But you look at the atmosphere of those women who are trying to improve in Cameroon. Does it mean that when a woman is in government, they cannot act? The absence of the women in government or in power in trying to find solutions, long-lasting solutions to Cameroonian problem, has left the basic Cameroonian and the local Cameroonian woman to itself. There will be more authority if those who are in position as women should join this cause. National Mourning Day in Cameroon tomorrow to be organized in Yaoundé, while Kumba is few kilometers away. It is sad. The women should equally gather all in Kumba tomorrow. If this is the National Mourning Day, let's see how the event unfolds. And that women should stop being used as agents of propaganda, even within the ranks of the government. some of these women came to present themselves at times just to be seen, or maybe show, how can I call, sagesse or wisdom of the head of state should lie on them. We need to see a positive Cameroonian woman. Very few, we have a lot of them, like Michel Doki, you saw what they did today with Madame Kawala,
yeah.
that they could go right up to the spot. Could ministers' wives too, who are mothers of children, get to this place and will be very happy. I'm telling you, because he who pays the piper calls the tune. The government is the highest player in this domain.
Okay.
I'll be very strong by tomorrow morning to see that Madame Chantal Biya will be leading the women win for the morning tomorrow.
Surprising people in Kumba.
In Kumba,
Okay.
why not?
Yes. What should be the strategy for women now?
Collaborer.
Okay.
La collaboration. Les femmes, surtout celles qui sont dans les zones de conflit, doivent collaborer. Mais je vais rappeler que les femmes, celles qui ne sont pas dans ces zones de conflit, qui sont originaires des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest, ont chaque fois organisé des rencontres. Il y en a eu à Yaoundé, organisées sous le patronage de Madame la ministre des enseignements secondaires, Madame Lanova Yonga, qui a chaque fois réuni les femmes en collaboration avec toutes les autres femmes élites du Nord-Ouest. Ça, c'est des éléments qu'il faut apporter pour argumenter. Parce que quand on parle, c'est comme si rien n'est fait, mais c'est fait. Peut-être pas rendu public. C'est la presse qui doit informer.
Il faut qu'elle nous invite aussi, non?
Bon, il faut certainement qu'elle vous invite.
Mais
pour savoir pour savoir. Mais je dis, c'est fait.
Oui.
Les femmes du sud-ouest, du nord-ouest, organisent les rencontres, distribuent même les denrées, distribuent les moyens pour
mais maintenant nous parlons des stratégies pour...
Alors, stratégie. Pour dire ça simplement, les stratégies, on demande aux pays amis qui hébergent ceux qui soutiennent le terrorisme international à dénoncer.
OK.
On demande aux pays amis à couper le financement de certaines organisations sous prétexte que c'est des ONG, qui font dans la société civile.
Okay, Monsieur Joe,
on demande aux
we are out of time, please.
on demande aux pays amis de réduire le trafic des armes et de façon générale, on demande à tout le monde, à tous ceux qui habitent les régions en crise, de collaborer avec les forces de défense.
Okay, Ima, we are glad to have had you for the first time on Prime Hour on My Media Prime. Thank you for your participation.
It's been my pleasure, Leonard. Thank you very much.
We hope we are going to be having you subsequently.
That's for sure.
Okay, thank you to you, Cho Waters, for coming all the way from Yaoundé to be part of the show.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
And to you, Dr. Ako John Ako, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I want to insist, I will try to give these small lessons to my fellow panelists, CPDM, that not only the Southwest or the Northwest woman is concerned. If Cameroon is for all Cameroonian women must rally behind the Anglophone crisis.
Okay, Mr. Njo, thank you for coming.
Oui, pour clôturer, je vais dire, le deuil national est célébré sur l'étendue du territoire.
Okay.
Ce n'est pas circonscrit
Okay.
aux régions.
Merci
pour l'invitation.
Oui, merci d'être venu. Thank you to you, Desmond, and Eli, who is producing the program, and those are the broadcasting, and to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising our work out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.